Last Saturday night, I had the privilege of baptizing a family of 4 into Christ, Greg and Tina, and their 2 teenage daughters. All of the strategies I will talk to you about today, everything I will share to you, that was the product of these things. There were efforts made not just by the preacher. I was not the one who initiated those studies with them. I encouraged the people who did, and we worked together as a family to make them feel welcome and very patiently stood alongside them in their studies until it came to the point where it was the best, Titus. I got to baptize this guy, and he walked over to the side and he sat in the water and he waited. And then his wife came in and we talked and we baptized her, and she sat next to him. And then Grace came in and we talked and cried and baptized her, and they just began joining. And honestly, you have children. I was a little jealous. I thought, what an amazing moment for a family. So everything we'll talk about today, I'm telling you, it works. It will work because the gospel always works. And that's just the most uplifting thing that's happened lately.
And that's the end of the show. No, just kidding. So tell us who you are, your name, where you're from, and interesting fact.
I am Kris Emerson. I live in Texas. I've always been in Texas, raised in the Houston area. Now I'm at the Lindale Church of Christ, which is east of Dallas, like an hour and a half. I don't know about anything interesting. I was homeschooled growing up back when it was kind of uncool to do. And I was at college really young, kind of had a unique experience, but it led to this path. My mother didn't finish 10th or 11th grade. So my homeschool teacher would say, I'm going to lock you in your room until you learn it. So that was our strategy. But I'm thankful for that because my work in study was the product of being locked in a room and until you figure out how to learn. But we homeschool our kids, but not quite so militantly.
That's great, man. Locked in there. And you're not in that room now, right? I mean, you can get out.
No, I can get out.
Okay, that's good. That's good, man. So as you know, this show is about personal evangelism, right? We're all called to be a light, aren't we? And so what are some strategies that you found to work, to be successful? And there are, just to let you know, everybody who's listening, to try is better than to never try. Like if you don't ever do anything, you're never going to accomplish anything. So just do anything that you hear, try it, just give it a go. So Kris, tell us 3 strategies that you found to be effective.
Okay. I brought some props, so I'll mix in a couple of things as we go. I want to start with this. If there's any preachers listening, and really anyone, step 1 is we have to make this a bigger effort than just preachers. Preachers are not in the center of this. Every preacher needs to tattoo backwards across his forehead, 2 Timothy 2:2, so that every morning when he gets up and looks in the mirror, he sees 2 Timothy 2:2 looking back at him, which says that we are to teach men, others, so that they can teach others. Our job is not to go out and say the community preachers. Our job is to enable members to do that, to do it because we're community members, but get them going. So tip 1 is let's just all buy into the fact that every member is equally challenged by God to be an evangelist. The family that I told you about a moment ago, I didn't know them. How would I know them? But a member of our church knew them, a family, and started talking to them about God and invited them to church. And when it came time to start studies, they asked me about what they could use. They didn't say, Kris, would you do this study for me? I found this person and you're the preacher and we pay you for that. No, they said, hey, what do you think we should use to study? And they did it. And then as it went down the stream of time, I got to step in and help out a little bit and connect some dots and stuff. But part 1 is like, we got to get away from the gifted speaker, the hired guy, the central pastor system for evangelism, because it doesn't work. So I don't know how this breaks into 3 points, but we have cards like these, the Lindale Church of Christ card.
Okay, so on the card there on the front has the address and the website.
Yeah, it's just got the website. It doesn't even matter really what's on it once I tell you what we do with it. And on the back, it's got a space where you write your name, a bunch of stuff here, but you write your name, put your number. We have stacks of 5 of these all over our building. It's not my job to hand these out. It's God's people's job to hand these out. So we challenge our members to pick up 5 every month and to hand them out by the end of the month and then get 5 more. And we're trying to create a culture, a local church culture. All of us talk to everybody we know at least 5 times a month about Jesus. We've got to get everybody invested in this so that when the visitors come, we're invested in doing the work. So I don't know, I'll pause here, but my strategy so far are preachers encourage members to do this. They don't do it for them. Churches are falling apart. Preachers are quitting everywhere across the whole United States because it's not their job to do the job for the people, and the system will work. And then two, just get you something, it doesn't even matter what's on it, but something where everybody can be textile tangibly involved. So that's where I'd start.
That's good. So 2, Tim, 2, 2. That's one.
2, Tim, 2, 2.
Jesus, when he said, go be a light, he was talking only to his disciples, right, Kris? No. And he said, take up your cross. He was just talking to only the apostles, right? No. So we're all called to be that light. And, a light in the darkness is what what people look for, lost in a cave, right? So we are that light. Like you might be the only person, you who are listening, who can be that light in people's darkness, in your neighborhood, in your work, in your community. So that's good. So handing something out, I love that, by the way, because it's real. Like you can track your progress,
Yeah.
So
and I'll add a second level to this. So that's just a card. Okay. All that cards will do is start a conversation. That's great. Good job. And if they maybe show up at church, which is cool. But then what? What do you do? And we don't have long in this podcast, but I'm going to tell you a quick story. I was invited a handful of years ago to go speak to about 50 guys on evangelism. And they were all preachers, elders, and deacons. And I asked them a couple of questions, but I got down to this question. What have you trained the sheep if you're a shepherd? What have you as a preacher taught the members? How have you equipped members to conduct Bible studies? Tell us what material you've taught them. Tell us how you've prepared. I mean, we preach to them all the time. Go out and be evangelistic, but tell me how you've equipped them. And I stood there for about 60 seconds. Nobody said a word. Most of those guys hadn't prepared themselves. So I've got a booklet called the Gospel Message Booklet, and I'll send a link. There's a link to it. I'll send a file. You can pick anything, but we use this 4-lesson booklet. And right now we're teaching our entire congregation how to go through it. Not a special Tuesday study. It's not a side class. If you're a member of the Lindale Church, you're not teaching on Sundays and Wednesdays. You are filling in this book so that you now have the tools to do a 4-lesson study with anyone that you meet. We're equipping them. And 60% of the baptisms at the Lindale Church in the last year, 50 to 60, I did not initiate those studies. Members of this church felt equipped enough to teach the people that they had rapport with in this life. And then I would step in and help where needed. So huge deal for us is that evangelists equip the members to conduct studies. Do anything you want. Do the 4-lesson book, do the big picture presentation, do the 3 promises of Abraham, but equip them. Most people are afraid to ask for a study because what are they going to do if the person says yes? Now what? Find the preacher's phone number? No.
That's a high-class problem, though, Kris. Don't imagine something in the future that doesn't happen. Like, actually have that problem happen to you. Have that problem happen because God is faithful, and he said, I will give you the words to say. And I got one question, Kris. How did you or anybody else become a Christian? If you become a Christian, don't you know how to be a Christian? Don't you know why did you decide to be a Christian? Tell people because something convinced you, something moved you, So it's not rocket science, everybody. In fact, people like those who don't know, who are awkward and a little bit honest about their faith instead of being so on top and know everything. And they're like, well, I can never be that. I don't even know that stuff, that this person's just a genius, So you are the person that God sent. If you have someone in your community or next to you who doesn't know Jesus, you're the person.
Yeah.
Not somebody you draw in or bring in, an expert or a consultant. So that's good. I love it. So make sure that you okay. So listening now, those of you listening, what do you have right now? If someone wanted to have a Bible study, what would you do? That's what Kris is talking about. So he has a thing I'll include, the gospel message. Kris, so tell us, do you have any more strategies or do you want to tell us another story?
I think church culture is so important. So I just want to keep feeding back to that. The church where you worship or lead or preach, what is the culture of that church? Is it a place that has everybody on board trying to get people to come and that welcomes everyone who does? One of the best evangelists I know, his name is Wesley Pollard. I've suggested that Titus find this guy. He's magnificent. He's an elder at a church down in Beaumont. But he says when people come visit your church, that's like fish jumping in the boat. Fish just jumps right in the boat. And he said, a lot of times we're all like 6-year-old girls sitting in this corner screaming, waiting on the fish to get out of the boat because it's in my seat. So part of this is just play it out in your mind. Like if you hand out a card to a barista somewhere and you say, hey, love to talk to you about God. And they say, hey, I'd love to talk about God. So what are you going to talk about? And the book may help, or tell your story, but like know what you're going to talk about. And then if you actually get them to jump in the boat and come visit your church, what kind of a culture will they walk in the door to? What if they have shorts on? What if they're holding a Yeti cup with coffee in it? What if their hair is purple? Like, what are we if we aren't excited about anyone who walks through the door with an honest heart? So I'm really big on church culture stuff. Individual efforts are rewarded when you bring people into a group that is all excited about what can happen, and it keeps you from getting discouraged too. So I really focus on that, on conversations like that.
Well, that's what Jesus did, right? I mean, hang out with prostitutes, tax people that no one liked the people that Jesus hung out with. Sick people, lepers. So isn't that love? He said, I didn't come for the healthy, I came for the sick. And those are the people that we love, right? That's awesome, man. Yeah, culture. So church culture. So to recap, we got 2 Tim 2:2, which is every member is to be out there, equipped, ready to go. And then also try and get something to hand out, anything to connect you with someone, something that can track that you're actually doing something for yourself. And then also the gospel message, anything like that. If you ask yourself, if someone asked me today, I want to do a Bible study, what would you do? And if it's go to someone else, you got to get equipped. And then finally, the church culture, where you're going to church, the people you're with. Are you a family who loves people, or are you a club that you have to be a member of? That's the question. So you got what story you got for us, Kris? Do you have another story?
I'll just leave you with one that I love. I preached in a place in Southeast Texas a handful of years ago, and there were 2 rows, and it was this beautiful family. It was grandma and grandpa were Christians, daughter and son were Christians, the daughter's husband was a Christian. She had 4 kids who were Christians. They had kids. It was 2 full rows of people who are working. Well, we were blessed by God towards heaven. Several of them have now passed and gone to be in their great reward, the grandparents. But the one girl on the end, she was about 25 at the time. When she was 17, she was at school. And a girl from that church asked her if she'd like to come on a Sunday and visit with her. And that girl said yes. And because that girl invited her, and because she came, she was converted, her parents were converted, her grandparents were converted, her sister was converted. You have 10 to 20 maybe people headed to heaven because one high school student spoke the name of Jesus to another high school student and found a pliable heart. You can never count. There's a beautiful song written by a woman named Ann Stevens. We sing it here sometimes. You can never count the apples in a seed. One seed, countless apples. That's God's plan.
That's it, man. That's awesome. So that was almost like our call to action in a way. At the end, we have a call to action like, hey, let's get out there. So if you want an orchard, plant a seed, right?
Yep. You want an orchard, plant a seed. That's good.
Now, Kris, why do we plant that seed though, man? Who cares, right, about these seeds and things? What's the reason we do it?
Yeah. I mean, this world's a mess. You can live in New Zealand or Texas or anywhere, north, south, or in between. We live for a while, we chase things, they end up not fulfilling us, and then we die. And we die at the most unpredictable and odd times. And if this is what life is, meaningless pursuits that we leave behind, there is no value in this existence. Jesus made us to be valuable and to pursue valuable things, and he's going to take us to the most valuable place. And I know you know that, and I know that, and the people listening know that, but listen to me carefully. There are a lot of people in your life who don't know that yet, but they feel it. They feel that there is more. They just don't know what it is. All they know is that they can't attain it on their own, which is actually a great step towards faith. They just need to know what they already feel, what God already made them to feel, that there is a power greater than them that can do for them things greater than they can do for themselves. And be optimistic about that. I rarely talk to someone about Jesus who's repelled by the idea of a savior. We all want that.
And on that, Kris, that is the call to action. That's awesome, man. So I appreciate you being on this show. I appreciate the words you've told us. I'll recap real quick. 2 Tim 2:2, hand something out. Know how to Bible study. Know how to do it yourself. And also your church culture. If your church culture isn't what Kris has talked about, a loving one, then make a change. Like, help them do it. Like, go in there and ask the questions and be the lead on that, and just say, hey, how can we make this a loving family and not an exclusive club? And then that story was awesome. So thank you, Kris, so much for being on the show, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, and God bless you all for listening. And remember, we are the light. There is no other. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, right? So if you're not out there, who is? It's got to be us.
You've been listening to Be Brave. The world right now is a crazy place, and sharing the love of God is the most important thing we can do right now. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review. And we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hit up gobebrave.org. Remember, the love of God is the most powerful force in the universe. Learn how to love like Jesus. See you next time.